Hello. It's time for another Warcraft 3 game. Once it lets us maximize, anyways. There we go. So, the ants are... Oh, fucking goddamn it. The ants are back. Well, the second colony is in the process of being genocided. The first colony appears to be somewhat active again. I put out fresh bait, but it's getting old. Okay. We got on the left side, Doug Boy 4, who this time actually remains connected to the internet for longer than 2 minutes. We got Ricky Hona Jazz today. We got his Zealot. We got an emu here. And then we got Q. I actually thought Q was on our side for, I think, like halfway through the game until I realized he wasn't. On our side, we've got Stig, Tha, Lolly, Higgs, and myself. So, it's a 5v4. HKS is going to go caster. Tha, Lolly's going to do all kinds of shit. Stig is actually going to go summons. And I'm going to go wards. Wards into Acid Bomb, eventually Infernal, which doesn't really work out. I switched that to Reincarnation. And then I switch out Acid Bomb. And on the west side, we're going to have Doug Boy just... I don't think he understood the map at all, so he kind of just dies miserably. Emu goes Horus. Q is going to be a little bit of a cunt in this game, but other than that, he's going to be just offensive casting. Ricky, pretty much the same thing. High Zealot will go all summons as well. So, as is always, the map has been updated since we last casted it, and there are some fairly major changes to talk about because they will influence the balance of the game quite a bit. HK has finally bit the bullet, decided to gut out the magic resist and spell shield items of all iterations. In turn, he bumped up the innate hero magic resistance to what it would be if you had those items, but the spell shield in itself is gone. I do not believe that any changes were made to the spells in light of this, such as, for example, CC. So Spell Shield is one of those very situationally useful things. It gets blown all the time in this, but otherwise it saves you from getting ganked by someone who has hard CC and multiple CC. And now that defense is gone. So early game, there will be a little less explosiveness from spellcasters as a result of that. But in late game, CC becomes infinitely stronger. Now, in this game, I decided I was going to stick with words to the end and see if I can make them work. I'll be honest in saying I've never used words in this map at all before. I've seen Tha, Lolly use it, and sometimes Ricky, and then Zilla, and then that's... And then maybe like Q, and that's just every now and then. Words just didn't really seem that effectual. But actually, statistically, the words in this game are ridiculously strong, and they actually were nerfed for this version. Because apparently, level 4 and above, they had splash damage. So that actually would account for some of the high creep score that we saw from Zilla and company using the wards. And I didn't understand how their creep score was so high because I figured the wards had a hard time securing kills. Well, when they're doing splash damage, it's a lot easier. So... yeah, the damage values for some stuff was also adjusted. The mitigation values for armor. I think that some of the units, like maybe light or unarmored, gained a little bit of magic resist, so it's just not quite as easy to blow up the wave. With some of the AoE spells, you had to commit a little bit more. And someone's got hero damage, so they were more consistent, including wards. Ooh, the exhaustion's hitting me, and this is going to be a long game, too. But I've got to stay awake for another... probably 5 hours. Every day is a real goddamn slog, man. Every day is really hard. So, and I forgot to put on my pain medication. Great. I'm not getting up for another 2 hours unless it's to get coffee. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay, anyways, let's hurry on along now. So, I believe HKS made other minor adjustments here and there. He says he goes through the casts and he kind of just jots stuff down, and then anything he has in his docket. But it's really minor. So, I was wanted for us to get in some more heroes. Explicitly 25 agility ones, and I kind of wanted them to be cats because they would fit lore-wise. Druid cats exist for both factions, but also because there should hypothetically be cat models available. Let me just put it out there that Hive Workshop delivers again in being as ridiculously incompetent as ever when it comes to anything. Honestly, I think that RCX may be the only person or one of the only people that speaks English that ports assets at least somewhat correctly. Because, man, it feels like every single thing I've ever grabbed up of Hive Workshop is fucked up in some manner, port or otherwise. So I found cat assets, and the animations were not configured, and the hit test really wasn't configured, and the file size, well, not really a big issue. It is needlessly large because there's a lot of unused data in it. You know, just the kind of typical shit you expect from people who just don't give a fuck about what they're doing. So that has not changed over the years. And then along the way, I did discover some useful information from Hive Workshop that added to my bitterness. And that is Blizzard fucked up attachments. Attachments no longer carry player color. So I wanted to attach hero glows to, say, the Naga, Sylvanas, and, Archimines, maybe the Pit Lords, and just have them be consistent with everything else like the rest of the game. Well, it sounds like if you want to do that, you gotta go into editing the assets. So I don't really have the time to get into 3ds Max. I don't know if Blink Boy's tools comes with an importer or not. I'm presuming so because I remember editing some particle effects with that. But it seems like I'm going to have to get my hands dirty if I want to actually put those assets into this map, because I just don't seem to be able to depend on anybody else to do anything. So those didn't make it in. The Alliance side is actually short on heroes compared to the Horde side. But I'm not really out rushing out to add in more heroes, because I think most of the existing heroes, their innate abilities need to be reworked, or reimagined, or just made more useful or less overpowered. They're just all over the damn place. So yeah, there's a couple of other changes too. You will notice down here we have the Urtle, which is of course a reference to the Dragon from Dragon's Dogma. It can devour heroes and kill them. The Urtle occupies this gate here and is teleported out when the gates are open. The Urtle is there explicitly to stop you from hiding in there. Now, normally, I like horizontal flip. So normally these are closed, but I believe that if you kill the turtles, the gate will open, the Urtle will be out, you can go lane to lane. I actually never attempted to do that myself. I didn't have much of a need to. In fact, I think I spent almost the entire game in top lane. And yeah, so those are little passages between the lanes now. I'm pretty sure they work. HKS never told me if they didn't work or not. So turtles do sometimes become irate and come out in the lane to punch people. So yeah. The other thing that was done here is these turtles were arranged a little bit more. Most people bypassed these turtles completely when they were up there and went straight to the Hydras. These are rearranged. I think the Urtle goes up here. I think it's teleported over there. And he's quite easy to get away from. He's not really going to jump you too easily when he's up there. But some people will attempt to kill him. Let's start the game. The other problem with this game is that I'm going to have to go AFK for half the game, on and off, and that will be disruptive as well. So yeah. So some other changes. The axe should be fixed now, so it doesn't give 10 strength or 10 armor rather, as opposed to 5. Some health was reduced on some of the items a little bit to control some of the HP inflation that came as a result of the new items. I'm drawing a blank. There was other minor changes. Oh yeah, so HKS thought he had fixed the armor on the Horde side. It turns out the armor will disappear again immediately into the game. And we will have no armor in this game. Which will, of course, dramatically influence the game. So, yeah. Not good. Not good at all. Oh, it's lagging hard. It's chugging. I'm assuming that's resource access because Blizzard makes good games. Malaysia makes good games. It's not even Blizzard at this point. So 5v4, I really wasn't too worried about it. I knew that people would be dropping out in the game eventually because of time zones, I think. But I was really tired in general, so I really wasn't taking it very seriously this time around. I was gonna see what I can make use of with wards, how good they were. So HTS thought he had removed gold bounty from summons. It turns out he didn't. They give a fair amount of gold, especially early on. Archimond has a magic devouring innate ability which becomes pretty useless after a few levels, but early on, when it's up, you can use it to deal some damage to the treants and even kill them and get free gold right now. So it's a little bit of an early advantage. I'm blocking Bill here intentionally because HKS has Frost Nova. Frost Nova does actually have pretty high damage, I think. So it's one of the more decent abilities for targeting nukes, and a little more viable now that Spell Shield is gone. Looks like High Zealot took it early as well, but I think High Zealot will eventually trade it out, like probably quite early. So a little bit of health restore from that innate ability. If it's scaled up in levels, it would be pretty decent, but the damage it deals to stuff is not high initially, and once they gain some health, it's, yeah. So, Steak was actually in vent with us for once. Not that we had much coordination going on, but it was weird actually having people talk other than HKS for once. And the other thing that Archimond's thing can do is remove Furion's heal, the rejuvenation, which I will do every chance I get just to annoy Ricky. So the map is definitely in a balancing crossroads right now, for sure. It's we're in a volatile state, removing a lot of stuff at what could be considered like a peak spellcaster power creep in general because of the scaling and stuff like that that's been added in. It probably take a long time to really ascertain whether it's balanced or not. So Steak is going to take a Shockwave in addition to summons, and yeah, I'm actually going to go top lane, I believe. I was running AFK constantly at this point. My grandmother's a shopaholic, so she also can't do anything at all on her own. Like, take anything out of a cupboard, for example. I don't like the double text messages being unable to form game lobbies properly. There are so many bugs in this that they've introduced over a year ago now. They'll probably never get addressed because nobody gives a shit. It's really all the excuse you need never to give Blizzard money ever again. If all the other excuses over the last 20-something years weren't enough. So wards do not exactly give you much killing power, but they do give you a lot of pushing power. The hero damage definitely really helps out early on. Now, to double click on them and grab them all to focus on a hero is actually quite cumbersome. A lot of kills I'm going to get out of this game thanks to wards I did not do any such micro on. People walked into them and died. And a lot of the times I wasn't even aware. Just sassing a Frenchman. Just slurped up his rejuvenate. Ricky, however, got the bling in the end. I'm not actually sure what Ricky took for spells at this point. He never has any mana, so it's hard to tell. So, on this stage, Ricky decided to hang around for a long time. And ran in the wrong direction. And died. And we don't see a message for that. We aren't actually seeing any text messages at all anymore. Since I swapped the player. If I swapped the bill, will we see them? Did we ever see them? Yeah, we did. I don't. It's a damn mess. Maybe we had to have Bill selected to get the text messages. We didn't see one for Ricky, anyways. Oh shit! Oh shit! So he takes Entangle and Fire Arrow. Fire Arrow does increase the range, but only on that hero. So, Derpy, yeah. Oh, 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 oh.
Allied town is under siege. Allied hero has fallen.
Well, that was entertaining. So, the second that I heard we didn't have armor on our side again, I pretty much don't even touch minions. I will hand out, well, I will hand out gold a lot. It's too bad we really weren't seeing text messages on my end here, even though this is my fucking replay. Because, yeah. Seeing some of the event notices for buying stuff would be important in this game to get context of how stupid it is. This is a dumb game. So, the trees are leveled up. Level 3, double the health. There's a bear. They don't really do too much. They don't. The thing about wards is that you're never going to run out of mana with wards in this current setup, as long as you're not really using too much else on spells. Once you start picking up other spells, then you'll start to run out of mana a little bit for sure. Meanwhile, a bird chases Ricky. So, the Roar level 2 does give damage to his summons. So I've got Acid Bomb, and it's low level. You'll see the innate regeneration almost keeps up with it. Of course, he's bought a bunch of strength, early strength. So, one of the main caveats of not having an actual item system based on like Dota with the upgrades, the tiered items, is those early items don't, you have to sell them in the long run, and that's a loss. So unless you get an early advantage off of them, they turn out to not really be worth it, especially when you could be buying like minion upgrades. And whereas if you were building items out of combo items, and then those just turn into an investment later on and you have a scaled upgrade system. The problem with item fusion and stuff like that is you have to introduce a whole system around that, and then you have to learn how to play it. And I wasn't sure how to address that in Lowlands of Legend, much less this map. So my approach with Lowlands of Legend was don't bother adding too many items until you're confident about the rest of the balance. Well, dead. Mistake runs back. Snake has got to micro his bird on a Ricky. No luck. So there's not really much kill threat from Bill and High Zealot. High Zealot may not even have, like, he doesn't have mana. He might still have he might still have Frost Nova, he doesn't have mana for it. The flip side of it is that I have no kill threat either. I'm not going to be killing anybody with wards or a low-level Acid Bomb anytime soon. Honestly, Acid Bomb was only useful when you had a high level and nobody had magic resist. And that's when it became strong. Now that there's innate magic resist, I started to realize Acid Bomb wasn't really that great, but I decided to hang on to it anyways, especially for the armor shred. Now, I'll notice that someone takes Farsight in this and one of the last games, and it seems to be Q. So, Farsight's one of those spells you basically never see, but it is pretty strong, and it will actually get Q some kills in this game. So this stage, I was waiting for someone to show up to deliver stuff, and of course, they were going to be lost again, and I had to go outside and try to intercept them. But this time they wouldn't see me, and they would drive in the wrong direction. You know, if the landlord hadn't, like, just removed the address thing from the side of the house, we wouldn't have these kinds of problems. But he did. Yeah. It wasn't just that Doug Boy didn't know how to play the map. I just got the impression he was also probably high. It's okay. I was high in all the other games beyond this one, so it evened out. Now, interestingly enough, when you see that Thyololi has gotten the Magic Sentry quite early into the game. You've already leveled this ability to maximum. Lumber returned. Bill, what are you doing? Wait, what? Who the fuck leveled? Maybe it was a special or something. Oh. So, Thyololi will have actually an amount of success in this game when walking and jumping on people like that. So, he'll get some kills in this game, actually. There will still be some Anhero. Just not as much as normal. So, Ricky is French. He does manage to get away. I did not suck up his rejuvenate. At this stage, the words are not really at that high level. I'm kind of hamstrung by my own level, but it's the Acid Bomb that's not doing me too many wonders right now. That said, if I get Acid Bomb onto them and then remove Ricky's Rejuvenate, Ricky is very likely to run back to me with no health. There you go. You can see that the damage is not impressive, especially for level 4. However, it does reduce a lot of armor, which is really the big thing about it. When you get Acid Bomb onto them while the wards are on them, then they're fucked. This stage, I wanted to chase Ricky to make sure he doesn't get a cast Rejuvenate. He did, and I slurped it up. French assassination complete. Ricky was probably confused by that, because I don't think anybody else has ever played that hero. Meanwhile, this guy was kind of like chilling out, so I kind of wanted him too. Steak also wanted him, and he's dead.
Our allies' hero has fallen. Our allies' town is under siege.
So there are bears. There are trees. There is an emu. TGS is making an effort. He's trying as hard as he can. Oh, apparently at some point Hazel actually had Carrion Swarm. I basically never saw him at this point. I don't think I hardly ever went bottom ever again after this. TGS runs from the trees, barely surviving. Meanwhile, Ricky contends with the bird.
Forces are under attack.
So the minions are they're pretty strong when your creeps have no armor upgrades. And they're also pretty strong against the French.
Our allies' town. Our allies' hero has fallen. Our hero has fallen.
So Bill stuck around there for a while, and so did Hyzella apparently. So Lily's struggling a little bit to get in there, but they got him.
Our allies' town under siege.
Assassination plan successful. So we got some early kills. The map is actually not going too badly for us at all at this stage. We are actually doing quite well. We're getting some early kills, early lumber. Their numbers advantage isn't really helping them. I'm not sure about the constant far side over here. That might actually be staked and not. If I put it on the right person. I never actually saw it on my side, so I'm pretty sure it's not ours. This stage I went AFK. I don't know how long I am. It won't be too long, but I did have to futz around for a while, and then I had to deal with all the stuff that was brought in and put it all away and sort it out. However, I think that in spite of my absence, we won't really be struggling too much. We will lose that pushing power and the extra body, but I didn't really contribute much kill threats, so beyond being a pest, I wasn't really doing too much at this stage in the game anyways. The bigger issue is that I would miss out on some of the gold and experience. And at this point, I was actually very substantially in the lead of kills. Creep kills. I don't know why I'm up here. Am I still moving? Oh, I might have still been moving around. No, I have Thigh Loli on auto. How did that happen?
Our allied town is under siege.
I'm emitting. I'm really. How did this happen? What? What the fuck? Sorry, can you explain? I don't remember clicking on him. I gotta admit, I'm really baffled. I'm pretty sure I just like teleported back to the base and that was it. I do not know why I'm auto following Thigh Loli around. I'm really baffled by that.
Is under siege.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure the replay is bugged, but I don't think so. I'm honestly really baffled by the constant far sights. They're not ours, for sure.
Under attack.
So I am just auto-following him. I don't know how that happened. Did I, like, accidentally click? Like, what the fuck? And, like, there's a lot of times where I'm not attacking and a fireball just emits out of his crotch. Apparently I was there to provide spiritual assistance for the killing of Ricky. What if I only thought that I was actually there? I somehow haven't died yet. That looks like it's gonna change though. Even still auto-following even through a stun.
Our forces are under attack.
I didn't know it normally auto-followed you through stun. I thought it didn't. Meanwhile, in bottom lane, there is exchanges of carry and swarm and other AoE, but nobody's. They're all so low. Both Bill and Stick are very thirsty, but High Zealot is quite healthy and could easily get a kill on him here. Really devoted to it. Meanwhile, oh! Whoa, 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 whoa. It's a bird! It's a bird! Oh. The emus escape. You are leveled this ability to maximum. Lumber returned. Bill, what are you doing? Oh. High Zealot's in trouble. Oh, the worst dump. And dead. It looks like I'm gonna die. This is it. This is it. This is it. I had occurred like 2 or 3 creep score in my AFK time. I just don't know how that happened to begin with. Meanwhile, in top lane, they're so scared of Steak's birds. Ricky especially, he's been traumatized by birds a lot in this game. Oh shit. Ricky is, did Ricky just stormbolt the bird? The bird with the aura has almost 150 maximum damage. Oh god. Oh, French. Oh! Did Bill die? Everybody died. What is with the far sights? It's gotta be Q. Meanwhile, in bottom lane, some things just never change. HKS's eternal landlock against trees. This tower was repaired? He repaired it! HKS is being dirty this game. I missed what that last text message was. Ricky ends up unlearning Stormbolt and taking Chain Death Quill and I believe Chain Holy Light. Meanwhile, in spite of the fact I wasn't here, we're actually not doing too bad at all. They got a lot of kills up top lane, and bottom lane has held. He nearly dies to a bird again, in spite of the healing. And meanwhile, High Zealot was murdered on bottom lane by Thylolius. So Thylolius was actually doing pretty well. He's got 6 kills. Stick has 7. And now that I'm away, a couple people have passed me in creep score. So I did a little look at that and came back and was like, okay. I'm really curious to see how well I was going to do in creep score from this point, especially when everybody was even. I mean, it was, you know, people were getting AoE spells and stuff like that, but I actually never checked that. I never checked that in the game, so. HKS is going to discover a bug. It's more like an oversight. So this level of endurance aura, instead of giving a 16%, is 160% movement speed, which of course is well over the movement cap. And yeah. Yeah, a little busted. So, actually, give me 1 second. Be right back. I just want to check up on the ants, actually. I want to see what's happening. Okay. I don't want to like flip in and out of all my shit and segregate the recordings and stuff like that needlessly, but it does mean we kind of have a little bit of a disruption. In the first ant colony, all the ants disappeared. They let come and go. I already killed, I don't know, probably a good 1,000 or more of them there. So, but these colonies have been established for a while, so you can't really expect overnight results. Well, it isn't overnight anymore. Ooh, lolly, looking for some booty. Got some booty, yes. I know, he's landing the kills. He hasn't died terribly this game. He's actually doing pretty well. But the enemy team, as you saw, they're picking up a lot of CC. It's kind of just really a matter of time until... Oh, we're gonna get a little stupid. Oh, so I'm gonna play probably really badly this game in general. Really recklessly. I know there's a lot of times in this game I pushed ahead too much. So what happened is he went up there and he just instantly got blown up. I got Infernal early when I came back, and Q has Windwalk. It can be a little hard to notice, but he does. And I didn't have any success with Infernal in this game at all, so it was not very successful for me. So Ricky wanted to die, and I focused the wards on him, and he did die. So the wards at this stage are doing 102 damage, and Ricky doesn't get any defensive items, so it's I was actually really surprised at how fast he died, but Ricky was just very squish and a caster, so I was like, okay, so, you know, this is why Zilla got kills in one game, right? And people charged alone into the wards. And Zilla, I think, would sometimes focus them. So, we're actually doing really well at this moment, but at least 2 of the members have heavy CC right now. And we don't really have lockdown at this point. We have some damage. Oh yeah, 3 people have CC if you count Entangle. So, at this stage, there's not really a lot of damage between them. And HKS is actually a strength hero. He looks like a caster when he runs so fucking fast! So, yeah. Everybody was kind of just doing silly things, but there was definitely actually a lot of threat in their group. And I was playing a very strange build. So when I realized that there was Windwalk and CC and I was using wards, you know, I might be like, well, I could switch and just take Carrion Swarm and Chain Lightning and Boulder and Stormbolt and do the same old thing. But I was like, no. I'll try and make it work with wards. But I am going to swap out Acid Bomb eventually. I do upgrade it to level 10. I think I hang on to it a while, but I will swap it out eventually. I will take Chain Lightning as well, but it'll take me a little while to level that up. I actually will not take a special ability until basically the very end of the game. I for some reason had a brain fart where I was like, whoa, I have an empty slot. I really should have taken Blink. And I didn't for some reason until much later. It was really just like I wasn't a nuker, right? Even when I took like Chain Lightning and stuff like that, I still didn't really have much kill potential, but I had to be a little more defensively minded. I wasn't prepared to play a game that was balanced without the spell shield like this. So I was definitely a little flustered, a little out of my element in this, and playing an unusual build. So I was trying to be mindful of Q, but, you know, to be fair, if Q wanted to, he could have killed me at any point. All it would take was Q initiating and them diving, and I pretty much wouldn't be able to do anything. So, Hyazella is still using Frost Nova, it seems like. It's honestly a very hard spell to see. Oh, he has Frost Nova. Maybe Hyazella. Oh! So, there was a little exchange there with Q, and I was like, yeah. I think at this stage I thought Q, I didn't realize that. I think I thought that might have been, like, it didn't register me that was Q for a really long time, actually. Mostly because he spends pretty much the entire game on our Windwalk. And I just, like, my week is so busy between D&D, dealing with Unreal 5, Unreal 4, and then all the casting and stuff is just like, I just forget that Q has basically taken Windwalk almost every single game and as long as I can really remember at this point. So we're all just gonna surge down here and go for that. I think at this stage I was floating a ton of money. I was gonna buy a Kagger's Pipe of Insight, and I kind of just wanted to build tank. Oh! Thought Loli gets a little awkward, having a hard time really clicking on people. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Thought Loli is getting away! Thought Loli! A little awkward. He might have been getting fucked by the vision there. The vision in some areas is weird. Oh, speaking of which, that is one thing I want to mention. HKS tried to plug all those little holes between the trees and shit you could get hooked up in, so. He sent me a screenshot. The only way to do that is by placing 1 billion trees and having 1 million pathing blockers all over the damn place. It's a little awkward. At least in StarCraft 2 you can paint collision, right? I bet most people don't even realize you can do that. It was something you had to do when you're making anything with AI because of how bad that game performs. Trying to simplify that AI mesh. So I'm going to die here. And I was like, oh yeah, they all have CC. But Doug Boy died to the serpent warren and Ricky got stepped on. It's not really worth it though, because it's a 5v4. You don't want to die, especially when you're the one with the words and shit, right? It's a different kind of game, and the words aren't as good as a straight wave clear, but it helps you stick in the lane effectively. So the main thing I really felt in this game as we go through it is the lack of coordination on both teams. Like it really is just like a game of puppies. There's not really much coordination. People are always solo pushing, and I would tell myself, well, you should probably group up with somebody else if they're gonna solo push. And then I would tell myself, that's too much effort. I don't know. I really wasn't thinking that well. I think that Q wanted to stun HKS, but Thyaloli just happened to be in that spot. Oh. 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 And then suddenly there's a bird. Wow, that bird does damage, huh?
Our allies' town is under siege.
Thyaloli is a committed boy. He's very committed. So I'm pretty sure these wards are well maxed now. And this is the only armor buff we're ever gonna get in the game. It's from Serpent Wards. Until Steak gets Devotion Aura himself. Because we don't have the armor upgrades.
Our forces are under attack.
So this is definitely a very strange game. I'm looking at the items, and I was making sure HKS had removed all of the magic resist items, because if he didn't, I was going to get them. Just to see how stupid it was. To be fair, though, it probably wouldn't have helped me out even if I did have some extra unnecessary magic resist in this game. Because really, you're going to notice with our group, other than really Thyaloli and the birds and stuff like that, securing kills is a little hard for us because HKS has damage but not really much CC. And then the enemy team is filled with fucking CC, and it's just gonna get more CC as time goes on. Those trees may have Entangle. He may have Entangle. High Zealot has got some health, and Thyaloli doesn't have any physical damage items. So, not able to secure the kills anymore. So it's kind of reaching the stage where he really wants to get the items. So, I don't really see Bill too much in this map, to be honest. I think he was always in lanes other than me. And, yeah, he died. He kind of just got stepped on. It was like beating up a child. Ricky really wasn't going to be much better if he stayed anywhere near me, but there was always Q. I remember how I mentioned Q is always defending. He's defensively minded. And I would forget that time and time again. Like I said, I didn't do too well in this game. I was overextended. And it was impossible to keep track of Q because he was always under windwalk. There would come times where I would just assume he was always in the lane with me. But then it would turn out he wasn't in the lane with me. He was actually across the map, and I could have kept pushing. So I do get a gem of True Sight, but I eventually trade that for health. And I wasn't really sure how to deal with that situation. I will try to play around it with wards. That's how I will try to deal with it. Thyaloli does eventually manage to kill High Zealot. It takes all of his mana and some dedication, but he does get it. The thing about High Zealot, though, is it's his minions that are doing the damage. You'll see that as time kind of goes on here, we're able to push and contest their lanes less and less and less. They're behind on upgrades because for some reason Ricky doesn't really focus on upgrades that much. But as Ricky takes our takes armor upgrades and weapon upgrades, we will be outskilled very heavily, especially since I have completely abandoned minion upgrades at this point. Because I know at this stage, we're just feeding them money if we feed them more minions. I wanted more personal killing power, more tankiness, more standing power, so that I could stand in the lane longer and push the lane myself and not have to rely on the minions for anything other than anti-structural damage. And I'm doing this without really any heavy wave clear, just mostly with wards, and then eventually, as you can see, I'm trying to use acid bomb here. The level 7 acid bomb, it's the wards that are doing damage to Bill at this stage. Finally, Infernal lands me a kill. Top lane also has shit going on with Doug Boy getting stepped on. That actually might have been mid lane. Yeah, that was mid lane. Ricky died. Actually, this may have been. Oh yeah. I missed that here, and I missed that in game too. Ricky was there right after Bill. I actually forgot he was even there. It's because the purple player color is kind of hard to see. But Ricky died. He got I think his teleport interrupted and he wasn't paying attention, and then he just fell over dead. So the enemy team isn't like really heavily emphasizing on wave clear. Like, I think the High Zealot will, if he hasn't already, soon get rid of Carrion Swarm and everything related, and just have nothing but summons. At this stage, it's like everyone on their team has CC. He does have Stormbolt. He may hang on to Stormbolt, actually, I'm not sure. But, yeah, a little overextended. Plus H-Kiss left me again. And everyone was just in their base, so... High Zealot does die. To the wards. And maybe Acid Bomb. So... we traded, I guess. Which... doesn't... And honestly, I don't like trades. A lot of time in cases people in League would be like, oh, well, settle for a trade or something like that. But that's really, it's not a good way to go. It's better to be alive. Granted, in this particular circumstance, the only reason it was a trade was because he stood there and died to a ward. And he's the tankiest one on their team. Ricky runs from... Look at the run! Dude, the Imperial doesn't even deal chaos damage anymore. I think he was just spamming Farsight on them just for the fun of it. They're still running! Oh my goodness. He might have been spamming in case Ty Lolly was there, but... I don't know, does like Farsight even have a cooldown? Or a mana cost? Okay, it has a mana cost. It's not very much though, and the cooldown seems to be non-existent. I wonder what level it is. Is it level 10? Meanwhile, HKS died to the creeps. Too thirsty for the French. Now, I had a Khadgar's Pipe, which is a little bit of strength here. So try to focus on him, stake up here and murdering him. And then Q got a little far ahead. Maybe thinking I was going to run back. But no, I went forward. Muse. Oh shit, oh shit. Nope. That was dramatic. So, I think at some point, Thyloli will swap around his build to some extent. And it's hard to even see him on the map. He might be dead right now, which is why. No, he's over here. Okay, so he's still the same. He really needed some items, but I think he was trying to upgrade minions a little bit. Mistake is going to abandon me, and I think I will push this with Thyloli and risk it. So at this stake, Stake has a number of summons, including what I believe is a maxed out bird. And of course, because Q has Farsight, he pretty much always knows precisely where I am and where my wards are. So I couldn't really hide wards. I would just have to hope that other people don't notice them, because they're easy to miss when you don't really want to pay attention. I did take Chain Death Coil to try to sustain them a little bit, but it only really helps so much. I really was kind of like relying on other members of their team being greedy. But Q is careful enough not to dive me too often. So really at this stage, it's just like, well, whatever.
Our forces are under attack.
Q is potentially going to kill me here. It's too hard to micro in this game, and I really wasn't in a situation where I was going to be able to do anything anyways. Well, it is what it is. There wasn't really much I could have done at that point. I should have probably teleported out the moment I went down there. Not stuck around. Kind of the problem is I was hoping to bait people into the wards, but because we had no real pushing strength in the wave, really their minions would just come down and instantly kill them. Also, Thyloli died trying to kill Hyzillian. So, no longer able to really secure kills that much, although he has gotten a couple. And I basically can't really lane against Q at all, because all he really has to do is just wait for our really gimped waves to push away and for their minions to kill them. We do have the full attack upgrade, and I think most of the other upgrades, but it's the people that are pushing. And on this stage, Thyloli will change his shit around. He's at the stage where he needs items to be relevant now. And it's going to cost money we don't really have. And Q and Ricky and Doug Boy and Hyzella, I think everybody except for Bill has at least one, maybe two forms of CC. And Bill, I'm not even really sure about. So I've taken a lead in creep score again, but only by a very small amount. It's gonna tank because of my repeated deaths in particular. I think if I wanted to stick to, alright, well, Thyloli can always feed on him. If I wanted to stick to wards, I needed I needed to transition away from, I don't know, Divine Shield? Divine Shield probably would have been an okay idea. But the thing is if I take Divine Shield, he's just going to win rock and run away. And I can't chase because all my stats are static. All my wards, that's basically my offensive stats. And that's all static. So, again, he can just run away until Divine Shield is down. And he can't portal out with it. So, my goal was to sustain it. Take health, as you can see. I'm tanky, and I will also take reincarnate. But there would be the problem, of course, where I can't secure the kills still. So with wards, you're basically saying that, you know, unless you stand in the wards and kill yourself, you're not gonna get secure kills. And I was like, okay, that doesn't matter. I'll just push the lane against them. Well, you kind of need to have strong pushing power to do that. And it'll become abundantly evident that I'm not going to have that. There's so much CC, man. But, Mistake was able to get some kills. And then, yeah, he was invisible, right? So... And then High Zealot also has CC. And at this stage, I'm realizing High Zealot has a lot of CC. I haven't been against him too much in this, other than killing his trees every now and then. And I believe that he will hang on to Stormbolt. Just about everyone on their team, except for maybe Bill, has Stormbolt at this point. And you have no defense against it. Before it was like you could pop Spell Shield, and then they needed that second CC to stop you. But now you don't have that at all. And I didn't think it would be that big of a difference because of how common it was for Spell Shield to get blown by something. Well, it does help in the cases like this. Everyone has a million summons. So we've pretty much, like at this stage, I think that if I really wanted to win this, what I would have done was Diffusion Flare for the summons. And Bill really wants that turtle. A turtle disappears and the gates close. Yeah, it works. Check that out. That's kind of neat. I've never seen it. I didn't see it in the game. I was too busy trying to kill the lane. I didn't see him mention that. I don't know how long those last, really. But you gotta keep in mind that now there is no spell shield at all. So I think that root is just a stun in this. Like, you can't cast. I would try to cast Infernal. I always thought that root did not stun you. I'm not sure why I thought that. I think it was just World of Warcraft that taught me that for some reason. And there's so few Warcraft 3 maps I've played in so long where there was ever Entangle. But no, it is a hard CC. And I couldn't, that's when I'd like get entangled and be like, well, I'll just cast Infernal on them. No, that doesn't work. Oh.
Forces are under attack.
So I took the barrel. The strength on it was reduced a little bit. I still have Acid Bomb. It is maxed out. The damage on it is not that impressive against heroes because of the innate magic resist. No, it does last a long time though. So you think of the damage as a total. In total, that is like almost 300. A little more than 300 given innate regeneration, but not that much for level 10. I don't know if I would really raise it though, right? Now my problem is I don't really deal damage. My wards deal damage. HKS ran forward and CC'd for 50 years, and it's like, well, Chain Death Coil has too long of a cooldown for me to save you from that. I can't chain Death Coil the wards either, right? So I was like, well, they might get greedy and chase me in here, but the people I'm dealing with are a little too smart for that. Ricky, on the other hand, is not. He will run in there sometimes.
Forces are under attack. Our hero has fallen.
So Thought Lolly died, Bill died, Doug Bowie died, and the CQ is just always spamming Farsight. Ricky has now taken Mass Teleport. No, that's High Zealot. I thought Ricky... No, Ricky takes Blink. I don't think Ricky takes Mass Teleport. I made this mistake in the game, too. A High Zealot is just taking cheap items and then going tanky. And summons. So, the trees don't do bad damage. They actually apparently have critical strike as well. So, at this stage, they can actually be kind of a hassle. Especially since my innate doesn't do hardly any damage to them at this point. They have too much health. And it has a really long cooldown, so that's not really an answer. You wanted something like Diffusion Flare plus Carrion Swarm. And just erase everything in your path and burn down some mana. But against Q, you needed more than that. I'll actually try to take Mana Shield at some point. I'll get hit by one thing, and I think like level 4 or level 5 Mana Shield will blow my entire mana pool in one hit. And I was like, well, that is absolutely not going to work. Stake died. Just CC. Stake can't fight them either, right? Like, he's just birds and shit. The birds are annoying much long after he's dead, but killing anybody other than Ricky is a little tough. Meanwhile, Thought Lolly dies to a Frenchman. I will admit that I just really wasn't hard set on really pushing hard in this game and playing my best. So there was a lot of times I would see them in our base and I was like, well, the smart choice would be to go kill them. But I can't secure the kills against them. So I would just be like, nah, I'll just keep pushing. In the full knowledge I was probably going to die for it. At this point, I might have Reincarnate. Nope, I don't. There's the trade. Yeah, so I think that the HP and damage that felt alright. Like overall the damage, it was the length of the CC. Like I knew that they were not min-maxing their CC. If they wanted to really min-max it, they could get 2 or 3 times the amount of stuns on it. Like you had people just double storm bolting you, not waiting for the cooldown or anything like that. And just like overlapping and spamming as opposed to blowing all of them. If you time them all out, you end up with absolutely eternal CC. And you could always do that in this map. It's just the spell shield kind of helped you against the initial blitz of it. So you weren't like surprised by it and then instantly blown up. It gave you basically a little bit of a lag time. And they do manage to kill Bill. Bill has similarly struggled in this match. Mostly by extent of him not really even being in lane half the time, really. But you can see that the creep score, I'm falling behind Stake at this point. The Infernal, I was still trying to use. But I wasn't landing, I was not landing hits with it. I wasn't really just using it very well, I guess. Leveling it up may have increased the area of effect on it. But I was kind of struggling with my lumber to begin with. And see, I did take a gem, but I won't actually hang on to it because, like I said, I'm going to use an inventory slot. I'll consider tanking as more valuable than having vision because he's high range enough, like he's not melee, that even if I see him, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm actually going to do anything about it. Having an extra couple hundred health to survive his burst and let my wards attack him or whatever is more valuable. Especially when I started getting levels and chain death coil. Look at the walking animations. Has at this stage has chosen the route of Peg. And I believe at this stage he exchanges, I don't know if it's Stormbolt or some other ability, but I really wasn't too convinced about the performance of the Quill Beasts, but I'm not sure if he ever maxed them out, and I'm not sure if I really looked at their stats when they were maxed out. Because I think they do get Bloodlust. So if they had decent base damage, they're probably pretty good. At this stage, however, it's pretty clear that we're definitely on the back foot. Nobody has actually left the game yet. It's still 5v4. And this is kind of what you sort of expect of a 5v4 situation, where if we had another body on our team with CC, we could do pretty well. But what certainly is not helping is the armor deficit in the minions, for sure. It's not a tremendous difference in this case, but it does hit you when your wave cannot push against theirs, even when it's left unattended. They are all maxed out on upgrades now, so the only reason they really haven't been able to secure kills on the structures yet is because they're not really trying right now. They're, like I said, Q is really defensively minded. He's killing me, he's killing HKS. He's otherwise being kind of a pest. But he's not killing us in our base. He's killing us in their base. We're overextending, and he's killing us, but he's not turning the kills into any kind of map advantage. And what ends up happening is the whole team goes back into this lane, even though there was 2 or 3 people down here. And yeah, like 2 of us were dead. That should have been, you know, they just continue pushing. Well, I didn't die, I got away, but HKS died and I was going back, but I wasn't really going to be able to do that much. Only now am I here to clear this out. They could have taken the structure very easily in that. They could really push that hard, especially since they have sustain, they have AoE, they have, you know, all the tools necessary. So they go top instead. Now the advantage of wards is this kind of like unique case where it's like, well, I don't really need to be in the lane to clear it now. I can just drop wards above where the vision is. And even if we're low on armor, they give a little bit of armor, and they will compensate for the lack of sustain in the wave by doing more damage. Then I can just go elsewhere, right? So the problem being is that I'm impatient. I don't like sitting in our base killing random waves. Especially since I was reaching the point where the gold was not really that valuable for me anymore. And like, I don't really do that good inside of our base. I need to be inside of their base. Killing structures and taking gold out of their pockets. And I had to do it before it reached a point where all their shit was fully maxed out. And we were looking at a situation where literally all their members had all the CC, because we were kind of reaching that point. That's what it felt like anyways. And in reality, I think High Zealot will actually exchange CC for summons at this point. This definitely is not unwinnable, but we are at the stage where coordination is necessary. Because of the build I have chosen, I'm no longer an initiator. I'm no longer capable of really like taking picks. Now I am the support. And I can get kills, but it really depends on them making the mistakes. Meanwhile, Steak, although he has a bunch of blast apps from killing the Hydras and shit, he's actually going to really struggle with gold in the entire match and be unable to really flesh out his inventory. I believe I might have reincarnation at this point, and I'm hoping to bait some kills and turn that into some pushing. And he seemed willing to take it. But they run the instant HKS shows up because they know that the birds have vision and HKS can potentially kill them. Well, High Zealot apparently didn't get the memo. Oh, yeah, he has 2 CCs. He has the ice thing and then Stormbolt. Meanwhile, I'm gonna chase Doug Boy. I'm coming. I am the least lethal ganker in this side. He doesn't want any part of it. I was sworn he was gonna turn around and try to fight me, but I think he had learned his lesson. I really didn't want to go up there and fight the creeps because we had a wave here, and if we could get a kill like that, we could possibly take buildings. And Stag did get a kill, so I felt this was a great time to put some damage in their base. All I had to do was sustain the damage from Q, not get in too far, and put a lot of wards inside, and basically, like a tank push. Like a tank push. HKS is going to play with the turtles. Bill's going to have some Warcraft 3 isms, because Locust is proccing the burrow animation, it seems like. Probably because of the alternate morph or whatever it is, image tag. When we do murder him. So that was another great kill. That's good. That's what we want to see. But now we have no minions, and their minions are just going to kill my wards. And what minions we did have just, yeah, they're all dead. And now I'm like trying to keep Steak alive. He has as much health as I do, but they just kill him. And I'm like entangled for like half a year. Steak ran back in. He actually could have gotten away. So Reincarnate came up. I was like, yeah, I guess I'll just leave. Meanwhile, Q went in really a long way. And yeah, once Endurance or was upgraded, the movement speed disappeared off of it. So Doug Boy left the game. Now it was a 4v4. Not that he was very effectual in the game, but he did have some summons in CC. So it's going to kind of slow down our descent. Meanwhile, I'm going to try to kill the Hydras because I think I wanted to buy an axe. So, words, very good for this because they have very low targeting priority, and then creeps will just ignore them as long as they have something else to attack. Oh, a lot of gold. He's coming. He's coming. He's coming, Daddy. Meanwhile, HKS not quite able to deal with the Hydras as I was. Someone give me some gold. I'll buy the axe, I believe. No, I bought another barrel. Oh, I have a barrel and an axe. Okay. I don't think I'll ever get rid of the blast staff. I mean, it was kind of my only close range damage really at that point. I actually really thought about getting a mirror image. That might have been a good idea. But the reason why I didn't is because I didn't really want to try to micro them. And then I noticed that this was happening. So there's a lot of shit in this that is stupid. And amongst that is death and decay. She actually died. Suiciding the buildings, I guess. And Ricky died suiciding me, I guess. But that's 4,000 gold down the drain. So you kind of know where the game's going to go from this point. There are abilities in this match which are just unfair and stupid. Demolish is amongst them. Harken back to the ages of Divine Shield and Demolish. It's one of those things you do when you want to be really annoying. Well, you also have Death and Decay, which you've seen as well, that also does crazy damage to buildings. I was under the presumption that these did percentage damage, but it doesn't really matter. Like, you saw how much damage it did. And that was probably level 1. And you can hit 2 buildings with it, and you can do it from all the way down here. Even if you have Blink. Even if you have Blink, you are... It's just TGS. Come on, eat High Zealot. You can do it. High Zealot's doing his darndest. He's trying. He's trying so hard. Oh my goodness. I wonder where some of their team was at some points. I guess they were trying to kill the Erdl. High Zealot is very dedicated. He's not dealing any damage to it at all. It doesn't deter him at all. So Fork Lightning seemed pretty decent. It was able to kill quite a bit. Steak is very squish. Ricky got stepped on. Ricky died quite often in this game, actually. Even more than usual. Oh no. Oh no. Oh. Dead. HK. Oh. Meanwhile, in the top. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh, it was level 2 Earthquake, I guess. He's got level 3 now.
Our forces are under attack.
So, Third Loli is still in the game? We haven't seen anything from him, have we? Is he gone too?
Our forces are under attack.
Third Loli didn't leave, did he? He does leave eventually, but I didn't think he left already. He might have left and then Doug Boy left. I don't know. I feel like Thyloli. No, there he is. He's right there. Meanwhile,
They're under attack.
it's doing like, what, like 600 a tick to the buildings or something? Yeah. There are abilities that you just don't use unless you're being an asshole. And people like to be assholes. I mean, Demolish is bad enough. And Death and Decay and Earthquake are abilities that have always been in the back of my mind. And people just have
Our forces are under attack.
not been complete douchebags about them. Like, okay, you want to end the game. I get it, but there is, like, nothing we can even do about this. There's nothing I can do to kill him either. There's the chain lightning. Oh! Oh! I did kill him. I had reincarnate. But, like, then I trade reincarnate. And killing him is pretty rare. So even that doesn't even matter in the end, because now I have to rebuy all these buildings. So I'm trading people gold. A lot of times I'm standing here and I'm trading people gold. This is why I wish we could see the announcements on this side. Because we'll switch to Hex and see if it shows anything from here. I don't think it will, but at this stage, I can definitely ignore Ricky. But Ricky will take reincarnate later on. Yeah, we don't even see the announcements anymore. When I switched, this is buggered up as hell. But we will be buying tiny barracks all the fucking time. That's where all of our gold is going to go to, is the tiny barracks. But it's like at this stage, there's nothing we can really do when someone decides to do this. You basically have to sit in your base with like Blink and Sleep or Stormbolt or whatever and just wait for him to come around. And it's tedious as all fuck. And at that stage, I was like, yeah, we're not winning this game. Anytime it seems like we're going to lose this, or we're going to win this, they'll just do this. I didn't even see that bounce to him. I was probably not paying attention. But I didn't see him because he's invisible. And we just rebuilt those. So here it comes.
Our forces are under
Yeah,
attack.
it does like 600 a tick to the buildings. The wards have 900 range. He's not even a range of it. And it's like, well, I'm not even gonna bother chasing him. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do about it? Like, it does make me mad, honestly. It really is like, it's abusing what is effectively an exploit.
Our allies' town is under siege.
That right there is 2,000, 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, and then what? Another 4,000 here alone of gold that went down just like that. So, Steak will never get the items he wanted. thought Lily couldn't get the items he wanted. Like, I would have been giving him gold so he could get some items. On the other hand, you have Bill. Bill's much more interested in the Erdl than he is in anything else going on in the game. So, alright, so obviously what you want to do at this point is you push. You know, if you can't control one part of the map, you try to get an advantage elsewhere. So the only problem is that you are way behind on this game in terms of money, and you got to keep it up for a long time. And I can't even keep stake up for more than a few seconds. Well, that's okay. I got a bunch of wards. Got a bird. But it's like me against their entire team, right? It's an act of futility. Wasn't really microing my words at this point either. The trees are pretty tanky. I like Hazel having his own. I think my Chain Lightning might be level 3 at this point. At this stage, I kind of figured Q was just looking to gank me at this point. He isn't actually over here. Should have probably sold the Blast Staff and... picked up something. I don't know what. Probably another barrel, honestly. Just stack up the health. Or another axe, I guess. Probably a barrel, though. I didn't really need another axe. I wasn't really going to benefit from it. It's kind of at the stage where I wasn't really sure what I really needed to do. Other than, you know, oh, change your whole build around. I did want to stick with wards and see if I can make them work, but I'm really feeling their limits, that's for sure. Meanwhile, there goes another 4,000 gold worth of buildings. I killed Bill. Words are definitely a really slow way to clear the waves, though. You'll clear them, but it's slow going. I was trying to think out my choices on my spells, and I was like, well, we're eventually going to have to take spell damage and try to out-nuke them somehow, but High Zealot had built tank, and Q was invisible half the time. On the other hand, it was at the stage where like Ricky can't fight me anymore at all. Threw an axe at a Frenchman. Alright, I think I'm gonna pause and grab some coffee and check up on the ants. Back in a second. Well, the OG West Side Porter boys are definitely getting fucked up by that poison. Not many of them, and they're all real slow-like. But I put down fresh bait for the ones that were showing up and back in the first when I was trying to poison. And they ain't coming out to play, so there may not really be that many of them. But I'll just leave it there until they do come out to play, and I'm sure they're all fucking dead. Meanwhile, the match, like, okay, so this is kind of the problem we've been talking about every single time we get into the stage is, you know, how do you close the game in this? And then that's what leads you to, wow, we have access to these spells that deal 600 damage every second to a building. Why not use that and just kill their buildings? Generally because it's cheap and they can't really do too much about it, and it just, you know, it's just a shitty way to play, really. But, okay, let's say you don't do that. Murdered by a bear. So what do you do then? How do you close the game? That's the challenge that we've got. Is how do you close the game? And coordination is my answer, right? Like if they had all just grouped up and pushed as one and kept doing that, they probably would have won a long time ago. Like I said, they're not killing us in our base, except for the odd time. Like when it's cute killing me, it's cute. This is why I'm dying here, is because nowhere else for me to take advantages on the map or try to get advantages on the map other than being inside of their base. And then that's where I'm gonna die. And every now and then I get a kill for it, or I trade, or I get 2 kills, or I disengage, or whatever. But nothing actually comes of it. I didn't really get an advantage because by the time I leave my base, build's probably gonna be back up again. And when they kill me, I'm usually inside of their base or otherwise in the lane, and then that doesn't turn into an advantage for them either. So what other kind of mechanism should we think about for this game for there to be an advantage? Well, HKS mentioned making a siege stronger. And I said, just give siege endgame upgrades that maybe increases their damage or something like that. So I had no idea at the time. I was actually looking back here for him. I was looking for him, but of course, I don't have detection. So he starts casting that, and then by the time I realize that I don't have any way, like, what am I gonna do? Even if I had Blink, I probably wasn't gonna get to him in time. And, like, I just turned back because I know that he's gonna pour it out, and it's like, what the fuck am I gonna do? That was really annoying. Suffice to say, I was annoyed. He says, okay, fine. He's gonna use it again. Like we're already so far behind because of that. It's like I said, it really is just a matter of them grouping up and not getting Ricky killed. Likewise, we should be grouping too. There's so many bears. Now, High Zealot would say after the game that he figured no spells should do damage to buildings. Currently, the other spells that deal damage to buildings are, of course, Death and Decay. I think Tornado, Volcano. Volcano doesn't do very much, though. I don't know about Tornado. And Shockwave and Flame Strike. I don't think Shockwave and Flame Strike are really that big of an issue. You're not going to be taking down these buildings very fast with Shockwave and Flame Strike. It's more like you can take those and deal some damage to buildings. They can help. But it's definitely not like Earthquake. So I wouldn't say definitively, but I would say that, you know, making them completely immune to all spell damage may be kind of a knee-jerk to that, right? That's like throwing out the chicken in the bathwater. And you know, I do feel like there should be some way to end or pushing it. Maybe not end. Like it's the wrong. This is what I don't like about that word is end the game. I don't like that. I don't like that terminology because I don't like game ending mechanics in general. They're stupid. You know, the snowballing effects in League of Legends, like the dragons and shit like that, are dumb as hell, and it takes a lot of fun out of the game. And what I think there should be ways to push advantages and to push more. Now, this is why we often see this cheesy shit like Death and Decay and, you know, Earthquake and the Divine Shield and Demolish, as we've been in this road 1,000 times, is because, well, it reaches the point where people get tired of this and not able to get out of it. So they do something annoying that you can't really counterplay. So then we brought in Sleep for Divine Shields, and that's like trying to solve a problem by making another problem that's not really a problem without solving the original problem, when really it was like Divine Shield and Demolish were always the issue, right? And so I think is that in-game upgrades for the creeps that also benefit the special creeps that Mucky added is one way to work on this. Because then the gold deficits created by destroying the structures can lead to a soft snowball, in which, you know, one person can afford the high-end upgrades and the others can't. Now, when I say high-end upgrades, I mean like a starting cost of like 5,000, 6,000 gold that, say, could increase the damage of demolishers, maybe increase the range of demolishers a little bit. You do want to be careful about that because you don't really want them shooting across the lane. But, you know, maybe increasing spawning special units, or increasing the number of special units that spawn when you, I don't, like, there's a few ways you can tackle it. Now, in Lords of Legend, of course, I had the whole division system where you unlock the special units over time, and that was kind of your team build thing. And that was my way of taking the creep pushing thing and, you know, doing more with it than what you might see in most of these maps. And I think you can take some of those elements into this right now, the late game upgrades that you can aspire to. And they shouldn't be like enormously, overwhelmingly powerful, but, you know, something that can allow the minions to withstand players a little bit, especially in dealing damage. Right now, minions are basically just money, right? Now, if you buff minions too much, it's going to be too hard for players to do too much, too. So that's why I say it should be, you know, late game upgrades rather than, oh, buff minions. No, it's going to create more problems. You know, the situation we want to tackle is encapsulated in this specific point. Like right here, I could feel it because I've got demolishers in their base, and every time a player comes up and fucking shoots at them with chain lightning, it just kills all my siege. I wait half an hour for demolishers to come back, and I can't move in, so, you know, I can heal them now because they're not mechanical, but that also means the chain lightning is going to hit them. And, you know, you reach that point where, because AoE is strong, that it trivializes the waves, particularly in late game. Late game is the situation you want to think about. No, I don't think that you should just add upgrades that just straight up ramp up all their health and shit like that, because that's, you know, like that's gonna feed other problems. I think that having more or less utility things can help. You know, adding mana burn to some of the minions' damage types. Adding a feedback passive to, you know, say for example, the casters or something, right? Like, you think of like little utility rather than just straight up make them really strong. You find some way to add a little bit of extra utility to them, and I do think that maybe, you know, amongst those upgrades you can buff the siege in particular, because then the siege is something the players will have to interact with to make the most out of, as opposed to just make the wave stronger. It's more like make siege stronger, so the siege is something that players can interact with and make the waves more integral, you know, and like split pushing or defending or stuff like that more important. I like tried to death coil and it killed it and it didn't bounce or something like that. I actually think I did not have reincarnate up at that point. So Bill did leave. It is 4 versus 3 right now. And that's why we were able just to walk into their base like that. So I felt like that we could push and probably take advantage of that. But they do have, or did have, a lot of money. They don't rebuild though. But you can see without armor, it's like his summons just shred our wave. They have no mitigation for the most part. So they will buy some here and rebuild it, but obviously it's a situation where it's like you want to push that advantage as hard as possible. And I'm not sure what I was doing here. I might have even been AFK.
Our allies' town is under siege.
Yeah, I might have been AFK because I'm not doing anything. Yeah, I think I had to go AFK again.
Our allies' town is under siege.
Since Bill died, we don't get notices on anything anymore. And then I finally came back and I was like, oh, we left the middle alone and now all of our base is on fire again. And High Zealot's shit's strong enough because we have no armor to push the lane pretty much on its own. So I was actually pretty content with the way summons were working in this game. Stake found success in summons, and High Zealot found success in summons. They didn't feel like they were too weak or too oppressive. You know, they were at a better spot. I expected them to underperform really badly, and I expected Words to underperform, but they were all pretty satisfactory. And they murdered Q finally. So at this stage we've reached the arms race where, because they push us so hard, and I make a fair bit of money, and the others are making money as well when they're defending and pushing against those waves, we will just keep buying barracks every time they get destroyed, which is going to be quite often because, well, at this stage it's like I want to push and force them to react to that and try to make advantages because I don't really want to sit in my base and slowly lose that way. But the reality is that nobody else really is trying to deal with this either. And they may not even be capable of dealing with it. And our waves are weak. So we can't really defend regardless, right? And yeah, Steak was never able to buy any of the major items. And I came here and I'm like, all our buildings are still fucking dead. And we were still having that much trouble just because the minions can't perform well against the summons, especially when they have no armor. I was like, well, that's okay. I mean, we can just get rid of the summons and we can push them and lighten the weight on the rest of the map, but you know how that's gonna end, right? Like, while I could sit here and defend, it's still mostly gonna be just my words. And High Zealot should be fairly proactive about using his summons to kill the words. And Q has learned not to overcommit too hard to trying to kill me, so yeah, there's not much I can do. There's a lot of CC in the group at this point, so with Windwalk, I can't outrun them. Even though I've got the speed boost from the head barrels, it's like, well, there ain't much I can do once Q's in the lane against me because he's too fast. The Alamo didn't work out as well as I had hoped. And they didn't even have 3 of the structures to push against it. It ended really badly. And then HKS just like gets instantly erased. Oh, shit, freaked out. I think that's from the Phoenix. That's the old Thunder Fury bug you might know about. Yeah, same engine, same kind of bugs. It's the ribbons. Shit freaks out. Not as common in Warcraft 3 as I expect. And when Thunder Fury would zone in and out, the ribbons wouldn't know where to go, and they would like stretch out across the fucking map. I still find it funny they had to nerf Thunder Fury multiple times because it was too effective in Burning Crusade. And that made Blizzard so mad. So, Q stopped backdooring us. He keeps Earthquake and he still uses it in lane. And I don't know about Frost Nova since I never used it, but I take Carrion Swarm at this point. So I've got Carrion Swarm, I've got Chain Lightning, and Chain Death Coil, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna try to fight him. And there's not really much point, but I'm gonna try to. I thought Loli also tried to as well. He put in the effort, I guess. Meanwhile, we we have a very unusual sight. Ah, dear. Oh my god. So I was handing out a lot of money at this point. Snake was well ahead of me on creep score. I was competitive, but behind High Zealot as well. And Ricky has a lot more than Q. That's actually really surprising. The kills are also really surprising too. Q doesn't have nearly as many kills as I figured he would. Because it felt like I was always dying to him whenever I came across him. But I have almost twice as many as him. Granted, I've fed a lot of my kills off of Ricky and Doug Bowie. So, at this stage, I was like, we are going to lose this, there's no doubt about it. But I am going to make it take as long as possible. Because, yeah, I was a little salty. So, I was switching into wave clear mode. And Thigh Lolly was now on like full-on drunken tilt. He couldn't really do anything. He didn't have the items to. Or really the finesse, to be fair. Because to succeed with what he was trying to do at this point was going to be really difficult. I was starting to run into mana problems though. When I took up Carrion Swarm, the fact I had a predominantly like physical-based inventory really started to show. I didn't really have the mana to hard wave clear. I contemplated mass teleport over reincarnate, but then I was like, well, where the fuck am I going to teleport to? I can't split push across the map because our waves are never going to split push. The only way I can really take advantage of that is by following Stake or HKS. And they're always like pushing in their own waves. And by the time I ever look to them, this happens. And it was like, well, I can teleport there, and then we can lose all of our buildings to cure High Zealot again. So even though it was 4 versus 3, it was still an unusual feeling of being unable to really take advantage of that. Because, I mean, it wasn't like Bill was like really hyper-aggressive against us in this map anyways. I don't know what our upgrades were at, but I never even bothered to look. It was like, I didn't really care. I knew it wasn't going to make a difference because we didn't have any armor. Having an extra turret or an extra grunt was not going to make a difference in this map. What we needed to do was to eliminate the advantage they had by destroying their structures and then camping their base and then pushing them. And that was not going to happen. I did come down to Joy and Stake. We had good synergy because of his spotting. But I found, I don't know if it was just the luck of the draw or what, but they would always kill Stake before me. And I think it was just because Stake was in front. Like, there was... there was nothing I could do about that at all. I was like, well, if I run, I'm gonna die. If I stand here, I might get a kill. And I just wanted the kills. And the building would be nice too, but I did get a kill, but I had no health at all. I think I had reincarnate. Yes, I did. Realizing though that the summons were a little too strong for me to deal with. The wards couldn't out-tank them, and they really shouldn't be able to. So I left. I killed Q, but we didn't gain anything. Meanwhile, top lane got fucked. Right, there's not much that we could do unless we were there blowing them up. You don't really see it, but we are buying tiny barracks all the fucking time because it doesn't have a cooldown now. So there is a lot of gold going into tiny barracks. And I'm pretty sure the score screen doesn't really show that. The score screen is not a really accurate representation of your gold income for sure. Just the trade amount. And you can see my CS is rapidly going up. The stake is really high. The stake has, or rather HKS does have some physical damage, but they have Windwalk, Blank, and CC, so a good coordinated effort could possibly help, but I don't really. We didn't have the builds really to deal with it. I'm honestly not sure how you would build against CC now. This is uncharted territory for this map, so it was an interesting learning experience for sure, because now, you know, you cross that threshold and you are going to create some balancing problems with it, but you got to have growing pains one way or another. And I actually thought I had reincarnation at that point, but I didn't. There was a couple times I thought I had reincarnation, but it still had like 2 minutes left on it. And it was because I don't think I ever leveled it up. We took one building. We rebuilt all of ours. Yeah. So, Thigh Lolly left and gave me lumber a little while ago. And I gave that lumber to Steak because I didn't need it. Steak is actually going to reach an interesting power spike as a result of that. Leveling up Devotion Aura, which is going to make the minions finally have armor, and will also make his summons extremely tanky. And the net result of that is that he can basically deadlock the waves and kill them. Because the water elementals are very fat. You can see they do not take that much damage now that they actually have armor. And there is like riflemen and shit attacking them too. So that's level 8 and it'll be higher. But Steak can't be everywhere at once. And with Carrion Swarm and Chain Lightning, I still don't have really the tools to kill all the summons. What I needed was Diffusion Flare and some other Dispel. Diffusion Flare in general probably would have been a good spell to have. I don't know if I would have been able to deal with their mana recharge or not, but yeah, I think it does quite a bit of damage to summons. At least it would have gone well with Carrion Swarm anyways. So, I'm gonna chase and it's gonna be worthless. Because I don't have a way to deal with them. Stupid. No waste of time. I didn't care at that point, though. I had accepted that this was pretty much over. The tree animations.
Our allies' town is under siege.
So, Snake goes for man. When we were in the waves, we were able to push into their base quite reliably. It's 3v3 now, so You know, but there's no survivability on the team except for me. I think HKiz does get reincarnate, but it's the CC will just kill you anyways. If I really wanted to be serious about it, I think I needed to take Earthquake myself, was what I needed to do. I needed like mass teleport and Earthquake. Well, I don't think you can take the both of them, but Blink and Earthquake, that would have been sufficient. I will not take Blink until I think around this point. Not that it really helps me that much, because again, a lot of my damage is static, and Carrion Swarm and Chain Lightning aren't enough to secure kills at this point. It's mostly just to clear the waves. Selling the Blast Staff and picking up another bong of Deep Insight probably would have helped as well a little bit. But, because it would have been a little bit of extra spell damage too. So, they're not able, I thought we were going to lose there, but they were not able to finish that off. So at that stage, I was pretty determined to drag it out and force them to sit through the extra 10, 15 minutes, however long it took for them to finish this off finally. We will rebuild our base multiple times during this period. As since all the waves are feeding into us, we just make a ton of money as a result. We build the buildings and they get blown up. If the waves are left unattended even for a moment, their wave will destroy it even without assistance, because of the lack of armor upgrades. It's a difference of like 20-30% effective health on average, and more when you account for inner fire too. The difference will be when the wards or when stake is there, but if they're not, then yeah. They don't really exhibit a unified pushing effort at this point. It's kind of just High Zealot throwing his waves of summons, and then Q casting Earthquake every now and then. If one of us had decided to also abuse Earthquake, I feel like we probably would have actually won this. But it's like, how much do I care to do that at this point? Not really. I don't really mind losing, but it definitely didn't feel good to lose to that. But it leaves you with a very important question that you have to answer is, okay, let's say you nerf all these things, as we have been, that allows you just to blow up buildings. What options should players have to end the match? Should you have a higher tier of items more powerful than the current ones that are offered that are just damage upgrades? Like a much higher intelligence item? Or a higher base damage bonus item? I'm reluctant to say that that would help. I feel like the item balance is actually pretty solid right now. I feel like that if you were to add some other late game item or upgrade late game objectives in general, it should be related to your creeps. Either spawning new and more powerful creeps, upgrades that enhance both your existing creeps and the upgraded creeps that you can buy off the buildings temporarily as it is. Those kinds of things I think are an angle that can be explored for this. So let's say, for example, that their team has so much more money than us because, well, we've probably spent like, I don't know, 40,000-50,000 gold on fucking tiny barracks by this point. They turn all that into upgrades that enhance siege damage. And it's something that accrues over time, right? But let's say we can make a gamble to play defensively and then invest upgrades in our minions, and then we're able to push into their base, and then our siege damage is able to allow us to win, right? So I think that's an avenue that could be explored. The specifics of which would need some time to figure out, because I don't really want it to be like, oh, you got an upgrade, suddenly the map is one. You know, you want it to be an investment like all the other upgrades. You want it to follow the same paradigm of all the upgrades. You don't want the one upgrade that causes a spike of like 300 fucking damage on the demolishers or whatever. You want something that is manageable and is an end game goal specifically, and not really something you just rush towards, right? Oh yeah, by the way, because Saffron has freezing breath, it's able to freeze those protector towers, and High Zealot was killing them. I found that pretty funny. So, look at those unit kills. Yeah, I flew ahead taking the AoE. Maybe I should have bit the bullet and taken Carrion Swarm earlier into the game. Right? If you really want to play the map and focus on that, focus on your objective power, then in every circumstance we end up with team compositions like this, I should always take Carrion Swarm, Chain Lightning, or Flame Strike maybe, or something like that. I wanted to try wards, and that's the limitations of wards. And I was like, okay, that feels good. That felt fine. Like, I didn't mind losing that, right? It was the earthquake that was annoying as hell and really tipped the balance a lot. But as far as like the builds other than that, I actually came out of this feeling pretty good. Right? You really see the success with the lumber, right? Like 95, 91, we were ahead on kills all over the place. And you can see with the trading is just that's just the trading for the barracks alone. Right? Like, I gave people a little bit of money for, you know, items or whatever. I think I gave Thyloli some. Yeah, right there. But mostly for barracks. But really, people just buying barracks is fucking left and right at this point. So I think, in general, what I would like to see is to look at all the CC that's in the game. And honestly, what I would do personally is I would remove all the special CC. The boulder, the glacial spike, all of that. I mean, we were already removed several things like I think Avatar and Safeguard, but there should be other spells, abilities of some kind in their place. That probably, I don't know what, right? Like, I don't have the time to be sitting down, like, brainstorming through all this map and so on and so forth, all the other shit I got going on. But, you know, there's a lot of shit in here that just exists just to be CC. And now special's gone. And I feel like, okay, you know, you could maybe keep those spells, but I would remove their... See, I don't like the point and click shit in general, right? I would rather like look at stuff like Diffusion Flare. You know, it's a skill shot and it does mana burn and stuff like that. I'd rather look at that and make abilities that are more thematic like that. You know, I would even be fine with keeping the stuns on those abilities, but turning them into a skill shot as opposed to a point and click. And honestly, I would even say the same for something like storm bolts, right? Is to look at something that you throw out and it collides and then it stuns them. And then you can say the stun duration can be left alone, right? And then even increase damage against minions or something with it. Like, I feel like there's ways you can go around balancing this without just stripping all the numbers off of everything. As far as like Earthquake is concerned, when I look at those big AoE abilities, I think that those are what should be being used to kill creep waves more than buildings. I don't know if they even have damage against creep waves, really. I think they might like slow things down and reduce their attack speed. Maybe you could focus on that over dealing damage to structures. And then that adds some extra utility, because they're a channeled spell. The thing with these abilities is they're channeled spells with big cooldowns and mana costs. You just as easily get storm bolted and it kills a spell. What's making them stupid is their range. The fact they do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of damage to buildings a tick. So, for one, they shouldn't be doing that much damage to buildings. Just a little bit, right? A little. I'm thinking like 20, 30 a tick would be good, tops. And then in that case, with the range, part of the problem with the range is, of course, the fact that you can go to the sides of the bases, right? You can go to the sides of the bases and be casting this shit. And I think you can do it even with Flame Strike. I might be wrong, but I recall something about that. You might have had to have destroyed trees or something to do it, though. But it's not like Flame Strike's going to blow up 2 of your fucking production buildings in 5 seconds, right? You have a much more dedicated process to make use of that, and people can easily counter that much more reliably, as opposed to Earthquake and then either Wind Walk out, Blank out, or Teleport out before anyone even gets over there to do something about it. Assuming they're even paying attention enough to see it on the minimap. So, it's, it is what it is, right? I understand the inclination to play like that, given, it does 2-hour matches and stuff like that, but, it does make you a little bit of a dick.